He plays for Team Snuggly Duckling, and he was the winner, getting those 2 buys. So this will be his first round in this particular tournament, the event being held here on Saturday.
Yeah, and I do love that he said, "This is Texas, y'all," and he's got his hat on. So that is a face of a man that just won a tournament and says, "Let's just start another one for fun." And he's basically off 2 wins, which I mean, not basically is. I mean, he got those. That's part of the prize. The prize pool was getting those 2 wins, and he's starting fresh. His opponent has been fighting, and he's like, "Oh, what have you guys been up to?"
Yeah, what you doing over here? Yeah, Jordan, that hat. He is a player. I think I've seen him in that hat every time I've seen him at a competitive event. It's another thing that he's known for. So, you can easily spot him around the tournament hall.
That's smart.
On the other side, I'm bad with actual names versus melee names. I'm not
Oh,
familiar with this player, but brown coat I'm sure is a reference to Firefly, and that means that I love this player already.
yes, I've not seen that show, but it's a show so ubiquitous that you get it. You feel like you're absorbing it through osmosis. You're like, I get these references here. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be quite the matchup. It's a tale of 2 very different decks, very different play styles. But 2 decks that just because you know the colors does not mean you know what's about to be played. So that's gonna be very exciting to see. Jordan will be interested because I mean, this is a separate tournament. So in theory, we've seen players already today that kind of teched out some cards. So I'm wondering if he said, "Hey, technically this is a second tournament. Let me do some things," because some people made some meta calls. We saw Find 'em, Flatten 'em added by the first player Sky, and I think there was a tech card changed last night on a round 2. So this will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I think Jordan switched out one. I know I didn't get to hear the interview, but Dan mentioned I think there was one card rotated between last tournament and this tournament. If it wasn't mentioned in the interview, I'm not going to mention it
Yes.
because it is early in this
Right.
tournament, and I don't want to give free information to Jordan's opponents if he doesn't play that card. But making one change, so a card that underperformed from yesterday, and he'll be playing today.
Y
Um,
Yeah, and I think that's it's interesting he got a buy, but he literally just got done playing. So it's one of those things where he didn't have the morning off. I did talk to Habibi, who was like, "Oh, so I get to sleep in?" And they're like, "No, Habibi, you have to start earlier." So that he got here before Brown Coat who did. So
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, in this tournament or any tournament like this, a bye in the first 2 rounds drastically changes your odds of winning the event. You know, the tiebreakers in these types of tournaments often come down to win percentage, your opponent's win percentage. And so picking up your losses later in the day, sets you up for success in those breakers and on the bubble way more than picking up your losses in the early rounds. So getting a bye in the first 2 rounds, even if, Jordan picks up losses later, really, really helpful. But as you mentioned, it doesn't necessarily save himself like the mental strain
yes.
of somebody who gets a clean buy because Jordan didn't have to play through some rounds this morning and really earn them. So here we go. Jordan is playing. I can't remember. I should know the deck list from yesterday, but I didn't
Ooh.
dig into it. I can't remember if he's playing the tempo or the discard version of this.
Well, I see some levers, so that's a good hint that that is such a fun. And I do see a hypnotize, so it's already a couple hints here that
Okay, there
there
we
will be
go.
some cards leaving
Little more
Brown
discardy.
Coat's hand.
There goes one there right away. An Obedient Raven, Diablo there on turn 1 from Jordan. It's a card that Amethyst players love to play right away. It will go back over to Browncoat Who over here. I'm not sure. Again, I'm trying to spy the hand and see if we're running like the action variant. I do see a Pirate's Life in
Yes.
there, which is an indication that we are on the shark list rather than the items list.
Yeah, and first he said, "Well, you saw the pirate's life. Now you'll see it become ink, and we're gonna develop your brain," which then starts making Jordan go, "Wait a minute, I have a little opportunity here to relax," and that's when Diablo becomes such a spectacular card. And then sometimes things we want to do turn to 2 more Diablos because I'm like, I got some time to let these Diablos fly around. Yeah, it's a 0-1, but it is going to get lower and then eventually turn into cards. But he also has some other plans, and that is
Ooh.
Shift Diablo. You know him, you fear him. If you're R&B, you don't love him. But that bird, we discard Shut and Chill and play friend. So lots of value here.
Yeah, already drawing 2 cards off the Diablo. We'll get another one when we send the turn back over to Browncoat. Drawing card, as he draws cards. So a fantastic opening there for Jordan. That's what one of the game plans this deck wants to do, that unchecked Diablo. And really, unless we have a brawl, which will take us another turn to get to here, that Diablo will be online for a turn or two. Kind of a frustrating start. Browncoat 2 inking a Tipo there indicates we probably have another ramp card in hand. Let's see which one we'll play. The problem is if we're going to go the sail route, again, it's going to give a card off that Diablo to Jordan. So Browncoat 2 here thinking which way he wants to go.
Yeah, and it's such a frustrating thing, right? Because everybody says there's card advantage, but then it's our card advantage. It
That's
becomes a
right.
very beautiful thing, and so he's sitting there going, "Listen, I have a few things here. I need ink, so we saw Tipo become ink, and then now it makes me think that I mean, he has to have sale, right? Nope, it's another
It's
Tipo,
another
so
tipo. Okay,
it makes
that
sense.
makes sense.
He has to ramp. This is really important, but he is saying, I need to think 3 turns ahead because things are going to get exponentially more painful if he doesn't play these turns very carefully. We see it be prepared, which he's
Yep.
going to use as ink. Doesn't feel good, but he has to make hard decisions early if he wants to stay in it and outpace and outvalue Jordan, who just draw 2 more cards by singing Friends on the Other Side.
Yeah, it is interesting. So we do see the sail in hand, which I think is the preferred play usually in this point of the game. But that Diablo really changing the calculus, and yeah, sending that be prepared. And look at that here, like sending that be prepared away. Really a fantastic call here because that be prepared would have been picked. But Brownco, who knowing that those Ursula Deceivers are lurking around there, and that Jordan loves to play those on 2 or 3 in this color combo. Sending that away, fantastic call here, and Jordan finding nothing to hit off that deceiver, although getting all sorts of information. And a wrong lever there heading into the inkwell. Jordan will quest now, it looks like, with the Diablo. No, the Diablo's exerted because of the friends.
Yes, he's been singing a lot
Um,
of Friends on the Other Side this
Diablo,
game.
not known for his vocals,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
he's
think,
kind of
but
cawing it out. It's actually kind of hard to listen to.
there we go. So there's another Sail the Azurite Sea into the inkwell for Browncoat Who. And on 4, will we see the Tala? Nope, it's a McDuck Manor. Okay. It's an interesting call here. I mean, Jordan, this deck doesn't have a ton to deal with it. You do have the Foxes, I think, is the preferred answer. And you're usually running them. I mean, you're almost always running them in this color combo. So Jordan can deal with it eventually, but it's going to be forced to take some time responding to that Manor. That'll just keep ticking up lore there. An interesting call because normally this list is building up towards kind of an end game state, but now going to put a little bit of lore pressure on there. Jordan just drawing a lot of cards, not putting on a lot of lore pressure yet, though.
Yeah, and it's basically saying, how do you want to use your resources? You have a plan. I know what your plan is. It's to draw cards and make me get rid of cards. However, I added a new thing to your plan and deal with this McDuck Manor because that's just passive income. That is, Scrooge McDuck likes to get his interest off his investments, and that is a well-paying investment there. So it's going to be there for a little bit, unless we can get a crab here, and then he has to send his whole board. I mean, a cricky crab, something it changes. It takes a whole turn to deal with this manner. But he will start by saying, "Tipo, get out of here." Feels oddly personal, but either way, we got one Tipo out, and we will go ahead and start working, chipping away at that manner because he knows it's going to take a while.
That's true. And so it's an interesting point here because this is 2 lore now, which Jordan would have had that Manor not been played. He's sending those into the Manor to bash down the walls instead of, pursuing his game plan here, or the win condition. And Jordan, this is a type of deck that doesn't have like an end game combo closer. It can force its opponent into top deck mode, but really what it wants to do is gain a little bit of lore every turn and then eventually get into the position where if Browncoat Who does manage to unlock one of his board clears to reset the board with either a Sisu or be prepared, he's using 1 or 2 characters a turn, perhaps a goat, to close out the game. And so any turn that he's spent sending characters into that McDuck Manor instead of questing is really just buying time for the Ruby Sapphire deck to set up their end game. And part of the end game for this deck and the way they're going to stretch it out is getting to the point where they can start looping Pirate's Life. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, we saw one Pirate's Life become ink, and we just saw him pay full real estate cost for that. How far I'll go, because manors are beautiful, but they sure can't sing. So he's just, like he said, digging for that end game, being patient. You have to be here for a long time, but and luckily, while Jordan has put on pressure, it has been lower pressure. So he does have the luxury of not playing against that, a lineup of merfolk. He can be a little patient. And we see a Maui Automatoa, so he's got the puzzle pieces coming in as long as Jordan doesn't make him get rid of it.
Yeah, we'll see. We know there's some discard in this deck. We saw the Hypnotize go into the Inkwell. We'll see if Jordan starts to apply hand pressure here. This is the part of the game where Browncoat Who is looking for that last ink or two to get to 7, 8, so we can unlock some of those wipes. But we'll see. Instead, here comes the Genie coming down, a great card to play in the mid-game here for Amethyst. It starts to apply lore pressure. It replaces itself. Jordan getting that down here.
Yeah, and we see some very fun cards here. We see Chip, which is a great tech card if you're afraid of Pete, but he is not afraid of Pete in this matchup. So we're going to go ahead and put him into the Inkwell. Play a Diablo because more cards is more cards, and those Diablos could become a bigger problem later if he decides to shift them. So this is he knows that there is a chance that Be Prepared's coming, but luckily those Diablos is not the worst investment because it turns into a card if you go ahead and banish it.
That's true. Jordan picking up a little bit of lore, but sending almost everything into that manner to clear that off the board. Just one note that Genie does have Rush, that ability being added by Peter Pan's Shadow Finder, which gives evasive characters Rush. So Jordan able to use it immediately to send into the manor. And Jordan now, with pretty wide board here against completely empty board, except for that popsicle hanging out there for Brown Coat Who. But it is turn 7. Or rather, seven ink is available here, so that Maui will go down. Do we have? We don't. We have the Hades instead. Hades is going to send both Diablos into the inkwell. So Jordan getting 2 ink off of that, which is a lot to give your opponent. But that Diablo has been doing work since turn 2, getting a lot of cards. And Brown Coat, who's way back into this game, is to draw cards, draw into that. Be prepared, and it feels really bad when you're giving your opponent a card each time. So. Jordan getting incredible value off of that Diablo.
Exactly. And I love seeing this Hades come in. Now it is stressful because Hades is standing alone and hoping that backup comes because he's got a lot of work to do for just one guy. But I love seeing that as these sets, we're on set 8, and I think this is like a celebration of the past sets 8s because we're seeing combos that we might not see, played and constructed for a while to be seen as far as who's coming back. But I love it when a set 1 card has a renewed love. And when you got a lot of ink, you might as well put Hades in there because it is great spot removal. But like you said, it does give ink, which, it's. I like it, that he has, he's got a trade off, which like Hades, all his plans, they don't always work out.
They don't. Oh, we've seen that.
Yeah. So here we go. Like it's so funny watching a tale of 2 players. One was like, I've got so many cards. Which one should I use? Versus Brown Cohoos is like, I got some cards and I got to figure out how to make this turn into more cards.
Yeah, and he's really Jordan here thinking things through. Plenty of options. Again, not a lot of lore pressure applied so far, but plenty on the board. Oh, and we don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, no.
We'll send that card back to Brown Cohoos' hand. We're going to do a random selection here using this die to figure out which card is getting discarded.
And he had more cards than I think. That's the deceptive when they pile up. I'm like, there's only 2, but he has 4. So we're going to go with number 2, and
it's a manor. Not a terrible card to discard at this point in the game. There's so much on the board that dropping that down feels bad. The biggest cost is probably getting rid of an ink.
Yes.
Which could loom large here. But Jordan now sending 5 lore's worth of characters on a quest. We're going to start to accumulate lore there. And Brown Coat Who here, just hoping for some form of board wipe. Preferably would love to draw into a Be Prepared. The downside here, did we get it? I don't think we got it.
Yeah,
that's the face of somebody who did not top deck the Be Prepared. The downside, of course, is spending a whole turn, in this deck playing a Be Prepared when Jordan has so many cards in hand already means that Jordan can rebuild fairly quickly. So
especially because 2 of them are going to turn into 2 more cards. So it's kind of
that's right.
Jordan is feeling. He's like, listen, to the victor goes the spoil. I just won. Do you want to see how? But it's not over, as we know. I would call Ruby Sapphire the most heartbreaking deck in the entire game because there are times where I will sit back and be like, I'm actually very smart and I'm about to win, and then something happens and it's just a series of sharks and pirates.
Dime, popsicle, pirate's life.
What happened? And so you're not in the words of a very, very famous caster. I didn't hear no bell, and we haven't seen Bell this game, and I haven't heard it played on this game 1.
Now, Clarabelle not usually running this list.
Yeah, Clarabelle. I didn't hear any of the bells. That's good. There's lots of bells, right? But here we go. We got rid of 1 character down with a Hades, but that isn't a very expensive Hades because it's talking about tempo. I mean, bouncing that Hades back to his hand, he didn't get rid of it, but he had to just pay full cost to play that Hades again just to get rid of 1 character.
Yeah, full cost, sending it to Jordan's Inkwell, giving him another resource to work with. Jordan now with a pretty big hand. We'll see if he chooses to keep going wide here. Oh, it's a Prince John, a card you hate to see in the mid game here, followed by a chip.
That feels
quick
also,
thinker,
yeah.
1-2 combo, chipping away at Browncoat's hand there, forcing him to discard a card. New card from Reign of Jafar that's been worked into most of these discard lists. It's discard with a body, an adorable one to boot. Jordan now drawing a card off that Prince John. He's collecting taxes and giving you cards every time your opponent discards.
Yeah, and another thing to note about that chip is he can sing. And I mean, Friends on the Other Side, now it is high pitched, so you will want to protect your ears, but he's a singer. He does it all. It's a little annoying there, but now we are looking and saying, hey, do you run Sisu in this deck? Because that would be very great, but I don't know. We have not seen any sign of any dragons, little or small, so I am wondering. I mean, Be Prepared Sisu, what do we got? And he is flipping through going, perhaps a crab, which is not necessarily. Do we have story, lore, game on board, depending on your varietal?
I'm trying to see if we have it. One oh, no, how far I'll
Yeah,
go, we don't find it. Tamatoa to the inkwell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Jordan can't close it out this game. Um, we will Visions of the Future here. We're looking for that. And the thing is, Hades, a great card to work in this list because he does sing Be Prepared, and there is
he
a Be Prepared.
can. Oh
Okay,
wow.
so Jordan
Okay.
probably breathing a sigh of release. Hades can sing it now. We'll take the foil one because, of course,
Yes,
you take the
it
foil.
works harder.
Right.
It works better. They say it's a more valuable card.
hmm
Now, like I said, all magic comes at a price. So I mean, he can sing it, but I mean, him and Jordan's gonna get some value out of it. But he's right.
There it is.
Yeah.
Hades singing Be Prepared. It seems a pretty apropos. Hades singing Be Prepared here to his minions in the underworld and sending all of Jordan's cards to the discard pile there.
Yeah.
Both players left with a lone popsicle standing on the board there over on Brown Coat Who's side. So,
Oh,
Jordan knew it was a possibility, probably coming, but look at all the cards in his hand.
I know.
Plenty to rebuild with.
He says, "You want to
Um,
hear the remix? I'll do everything I did before." Yeah, so there we go. Sometimes you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna find this one card," and it comes to you. Now we've seen the opposite happen. Game 1, we saw a Be Our Guest with only songs. Can you imagine?
oh,
But
yeah.
there we go. He says, "Do you have any more Be Prepared?" Because I didn't like it. Do you have any Pirate's Life? And the answer is no. It is a lone Tamatoa, happy as a clam, and a Grammatala, which is fine, but it's going to be
It's
rough.
fine. It's fine. It's not awful. Jordan here, just taking a look, seeing what Brown Coat Who is working with. We'll see again how wide he chooses to go here. Now, we know, Brown Coat Who knows, Jordan doesn't know that one of Brown Coat Who's Be Prepared was sent to the bottom of the deck there. So one that Brown Coat Who is probably counting out for the duration of this game. So down to whatever is remaining past those two. Genie coming down here, drawing a card. That'll put some lore pressure on as well. But look at, again, Katie, look at all those cards.
It's a lot. It's always feels kind of like please, can I have some cards when you're watching your opponent? And then you see this where you don't want to be like, okay, but how many cards? What are you looking for? But there's one thing he might be looking for. I have seen some people tech in for Amber Seal Song a Ursula Sea Witch Queen, I believe, and so that one is kind of nice because you can shift and then she quests for 3 and they never see it coming. I don't know if he has that in the list, but that is a good way to kind of sneak up on somebody and then scare them. But there's lots. I know this joke. I've made it a lot. My husband will say, "Stop making it," but it's like a whoopee cushion deck because you're constantly just doing these little things that you don't expect, and this is part of the not expecting it that makes it so hard because I'm sure Brown Coat Who's going, "Are you running? You wouldn't, are you?" And he's dealing with limited resources.
That is true. I used to run her back in set 3.
Yeah, I mean,
Or no, when 4 when she came out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're like,
Not in
actually, I
set
got
3.
prototype. No,
Yeah,
but
that's
but
right,
but
yeah.
yeah, she's great. If you're expecting a Steel Song matchup, she's great. She's a problem, especially if you're not so afraid of Ruby. But yeah, this deck is just it's. I never know when you ziggy zag. We saw somebody pull the lever on their own goat to win yesterday, so you don't know. And Jordan's counting on that. And we have a Tamatoa. We're getting some card draw, but we are still looking at Jordan with 3 lore on board. But there could be a goat. There could be so many things that he has. Brown Coat Who just has to sit quietly. And he says, and look at him. He's saying information is valuable, and he's gonna go see what you got. And we got a knowledge and wisdom. Nope, that's not right.
Visions
Visions of the future. A wrong wizard. Right, right wizard, wrong card.
Right wizard, wrong card.
Yes.
That's the second bumper sticker of the
Yes.
weekend. I like that.
Oh, man.
So another happy team available. Jordan here now thinking through which way to go. Clearly no board wipe available.
Well, we got a Sun and Chill if he wants to just really rub it in. Because, I mean, he's only got 3 cards. And so Brown Coat Who is trying to make sure that every single card does something. Make sure it's a body getting cards. In this case, he's like, what do you even have over here? Which is always a fair question because he seems like he's played 100 friends on the other side. He has played 3. So there could be more friends on the way.
So many friends. And it's pull the lever.
Exactly.
See which way we choose to go here.
Yeah, it could be. It looks like discard, judging by the way.
The Brown Coat Who's face. And as you pointed out, pull the lever. Fantastic card from set 8. It's been worked into these decks, often paired with wrong lever, but gives you a little bit of variance here. You can choose whether you want to draw 2 cards or force your opponent to discard a card. And I assume it's going to be paired with that sudden chill that we just saw. I say as Jordan plays it. So forcing Brown Coat Who down to 1 card, having to make some tough choices here. Do you keep the crab? Do you keep the visions? This is a tough decision. You'd love to get another body on the board and perhaps recycle that popsicle again, but visions will allow you to find a board wipe perhaps or something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
The crab is sent, so the vision's being kept. Browncoat, who looking for a particular
potential.
answer.
He says like, that gives me a future. I have a chance if I have a vision.
That's true.
And the thing is with the vision of the future, it could be a vision the future is looking bright, or it could be the vision is game 2. So we will see which vision he sees.
And speaking of which, I mean, this game already taking quite a bit of time here. So going kind of long. We're at 30 minutes. And Merlin Crab coming down here says, I see your crab, I'll play a crab. Slightly different. And then Quest for 3, going up to 15. That's game on board for Jordan if Browncoat, who doesn't have an answer.
Yeah, and he's at the point where he says, I'm not going to overexert. We do know that any moment he can flip a be prepared off the top deck, as this deck is known to love to do. It's one of the greatest highs of the deck. And so he's going to play exactly as many cards as he needs and just see what he's able to find. Notably, that crab, unlike Hades, is not going to be able to sing Be Prepared. So
There's the shark. There's the
and then we see a Super Goof.
Super Goof. Fun card in this deck.
Yeah, not helpful right now. I'm just excited.
Yeah, no, it's super fun. It's the shiny version, too, by Sam Nielsen. Sam Nielsen is a art professor
Wow.
Out at BYU, I believe, and also is a accomplished concept artist for Lorcana. He's done so much concept art for the game. Really excited to see. I think Super Goof was his first credited card. So
I'm hoping here for a
fun
coffee
there.
table book because I'll be the first in line to buy all the art, all of it. Otherwise, I just have to go to Liam and say, you're the coffee table book. But yeah, I don't think he saw the vision he wanted. It looks like he grabbed a popsicle, which is nice. It synergizes. It's potential. It's another card. But his ink, I mean, we talk about Sapphire decks as like their advantage is they have ink advantage. But in this case, he hasn't even really got a ton of that. So yeah.
No, it's interesting here. Looking for the board wipe. So the crab was available to challenge into the Ursula to prevent game there. But of course, Jordan could have had a goat in his hand and it's game over anyway. Brownco, who's saying, hey, I need to look for the board wipe instead, foregoing that challenge in order to get the popsicle and play for free. And not finding it, so scooping and going on to game 2.
Yeah, and it's smart because at the end of the day, like you said, I mean, we are over 20 minutes into this round, and we potentially have 2 more games, and we know that it is going to be a long slug because Browncoat, Ruby decks can and do thrive in a top deck mode. They don't mind it all the time. They like when they have cards, and Jordan is discard, so this game could go long. So it's smart if you know that there's a pretty 99% chance you're going to lose, and well, we got to go. And like you said, the goats, it's Schrodinger's goat. You could have a goat, you could not. I don't know, but I have to live as if you do.
They like when they have cards.
Yeah, they do. They like it. They ate
The people like it when they have cards.
Oh man, and boy were they eating good in set 7 before set 7.5, and you would look over and you'd be like, "Is that your whole deck in your hand?" As they look and they're like, "I'm sorry, I just have so many cards. I don't know where to put them." And you're like, "Okay," but in this case, he had a nice, what I would consider a normal 3 amount in the late game. But meanwhile, Jordan had more than 7, I think, in his hand for most of the game.
Yeah. So fun game from Jordan there at really doing what he wants to do. He hit that Diablo shift early on. That's one of the things that this deck can do if left unchecked. Diablo allows you to run away with the game. And I would argue that's the engine that powered him forward. On the other side, Browncoat, who not necessarily having his ideal opening, I think, and having to play around that Diablo, it wasn't ideal. So we'll see here if things are better. To be prepared in the opening hand, not a great opening. I don't think that there was any ramp there.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things you'll sometimes see players send back just the whole thing because at the end of the day, Dick was kind of talking about chess openings where there's certain decks. Now Jordan, he has flexibility. It's variability. He can do kind of lots of fun little stuff. But Browncoat, who most Sapphire decks, they're counting very heavily on this hand.
I didn't realize that was the altar.
It looks like
interesting.
Yeah, so he's got to make sure that he got. I think he hasn't looked at it yet because honestly, I don't want to either. It's scary.
Be prepared. I think that's the second. Be prepared on the bottom.
The foils will always get me because it's a little harder to see when they're dark. But I think I see a sail. I might. And maybe I'm hoping.
Super Goof into the inkwell. Popsicle. Okay.
Great
So
start.
you do have
We're
the
okay.
popsicle. If you have the popsicle in the sail, you're doing okay. If you're gonna have 1 be prepared in your opening hand, you may as well have 2 because that deceiver is probably gonna pick you before 7. So it's uninkable and it's kind of a rock in your hand, but better to have 2, I suppose, than 1 if you can play around the ink.
But I don't see here any ramp on 2.
Yeah, that would be frustrating. I think we have
Oh,
the Tipo.
there he
Okay,
is.
so we
Tipo,
do
he was
have
hiding.
that.
He's like, I'm a growing boy, but you can see me down here. So that's good. Now, one thing is, we saw Jordan just ink what I would consider a tech card, and that was Bell Accomplished Mystic. Because that card, if you are not prepared for it, it is very annoying because it's basically healing and removal, moving 3 damage. So I always think it's interesting when someone inks a card like that. That can be very pivotal in the end game, change the math. But that does tell us information, and we also see an Elspeth Spirit, 2 cards we did not see in that last game.
Didn't need to.
Yeah, right.
Not a
He's
lot
like,
of
I was doing a different thing.
yeah, Bronco never had the characters. But we do have the shift here. Discarding Hypnotize here, shifting the Diablo and Singing Friends. That's a play we saw last game. Diablo immediately getting value. The thing about shifting is you use a couple cards to do it. You're down 2 to get that on the board. But when you can immediately draw 2 off it, it feels pretty good.
Oh,
And then right into the
he just
Ursula.
puts them on.
Oh my goodness. There's a
he's-
one.
Oh.
Don't you say, please discard.
Yeah.
The
First off,
non-foil
how
one,
dare you assume I
sir.
wanted this one?
We don't know that that's what happened, but it's kind of funny. So that's I mean, look at that opening from Jordan. Like on the draw, the shift Diablo into the Ursula Deceiver, immediately putting the hand pressure on. That's a really, really tough opening. Brown Code who will want to have a brawl here to deal with that Diablo, but I don't think we do. Into the Grammatala, that's the turn 4 play usually. So unfortunately, can't deal with the Diablo, but we will look and try to find something to shut that down.
And we will
It's a
get.
third Be Prepared. Oof.
Yeah, too many. You were too prepared too early. You want to be prepared just in time. That's another card. There's a few cards in this game that you don't need that many of in your hand. And it's a tough choice because you do want them because at any moment another Ursula could come and take that song from you. So he has to make this choice, and he does go ahead and keep the second.
It's. I mean, the problem is you send that to the bottom of the deck. You are not going to see
Yes,
that for the rest of the
yeah.
game. So
You want to be prepared.
now, okay, I say that, but there are cards like if you get as a random note, you are sending these to the bottom of the deck, right? And you think you're not going to see them for the rest of the game, but there are cards like Pull the Lever paired with Wrong Lever, which force you to shuffle a character into your deck, which then results in a shuffle. And so in this matchup in particular, there is a particular combination which could unlock that Be Prepared again. And so it's not a matter of sending things away forever.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't do a shuffle. It puts it on the bottom. Okay, I take it back completely. It'd be the You're Welcome I was thinking of, which shuffles it in.
Yes, you're welcome.
Don't get mad at me, chat. I know. It's You're
I
Welcome
know.
I'm thinking
It's
of,
like-
but it forces the shuffle.
There's only 8 sets of 204 cards, which is
yeah.
1,600. And
But Wrong Lever to the very bottom.
Yeah.
And it sits there with the Be Prepared then.
sits there. That
Sad.
I love the cards that say, "Hey, go hang out on the bottom." Now there was a time, set 7 that I've talked about before, set 7.5 meta where they banned Hiram and Bucky, where it did feel not Bucky, sorry, Fortisphere, where it did feel like sometimes card at the bottom might come back because they were drawing cards so much with the Scrooge, the Queens. But in this case, Sudden Chill comes in. Ursula, she sings it, which is, she doesn't always get to sing. And we're just going to go ahead and clean up. We're going to challenge a Tipo with a Diablo. We will get a Ursula taking care of one of the 2 Be Prepareds.
That's
Oof.
true. Now, another Diablo coming down here. So Brown Coat, who you see him shake his head there saying, oh, man, I was looking for an answer for 1, but now you have the second one. Now, Jordan, keep in mind, he saw that other Be Prepared discarded. He doesn't know that Brown Coat, he knew he had 2. Now, we've dealt with both of them. He doesn't know that the third one's been drawn. So, that's just an interesting note. Grandma Tala here will challenge into that Ursula Deceiver, get that off the board. I mean, it's a kind of an innocuous card, but it can quest. It can also sing Sudden Chill. And shift perhaps into that big Ursula if it comes down.
Yeah, I'm like, Ursula, are you here?
We don't know if it's being played.
I know, but
it's an option.
And that's the thing. We talk about meta diversity, and it's so easy to say, well, it's the same 4 ink combos, but we are at the point, especially at this this like luxurious time where we have the most cards we have for a while, where when you sit down, and even if somebody says I'm playing these 2 colors, it takes a while. It takes a goof for you to know it's not an item deck. It takes a Diablo, a shift, and then you're like, okay, well, it's not going to be a mid-range or a tempo. So, and a lot of them are a little bit of a splice. I mean, this deck has tempo aspects of it. It's got this card. So I think that's a very fun, but not fun thing as a player because you have to play around these possibilities, these Ursulas that may or may not be in the deck. You have to play against yourself because I'm sure every player has built the deck and played it, and they're like, is it the one I'm afraid of? But we see a Peter Pan, which is always a fun place to start, and another Diablo, which is valuable in 2 ways. It can 3 ways, really. It can be paired with a crab. It can be a card one day. And if you got another Diablo, why not? Let's just get 3 out there.
So back over to Bronco who here. We still have that Be Prepared, but we're 1 ink off being able to play it. You'd love to play a Maui, but what else?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the Super Gift does not have I feel like Super Gift should have evasive because he is flying, and it feels like he could fly in and punch. But yeah, this is a very sticky situation here. He has to prioritize ramp to get to that very, very, very critical be prepared turn. But when you do that, like you said,
Um,
cards are going to be what you need here.
yeah.
So what can he do?
I mean, the avenues back in are low. Once again, the be prepared is the thing you need to clear off those Diablos, and perhaps Jordan goes even wider. But the problem is when Jordan has managed to draw so many cards, if you're in a position where you're sitting with, one or two cards in hand and you wipe the board on your turn using all of your ink, Jordan can rebuild so fast
Yes.
that you're really going to need to string two of them together or have another answer. But you have to ink this turn because you have to get to that critical 7.
Yeah, and that ink.
Well, and here's the question here. I think that's a half shark in hand. I I can't quite make it out.
Yeah, and
If it is, that's something. But the problem is, it, whatever that last card is, if you play it, now you have no insurance for that be prepared in hand. You have one card left in hand, and all it takes is a chip, a hypnotize, a sudden chill. There's a lot of discard, and your board wipe is gone. And so part of the challenge here is what do you if you can play that card, what do you do? Do you protect your be prepared, or do you put something on the board?
Well, I mean, looking at his opponent's hand, he's like, does it matter? Because he's going to make me get rid of whatever I have. So, yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's such a painful thing because we saw the sale go into Thinkwell. That's a terrible thing to have to do because I think he would like to, in a perfect world, he'd have so many cards that he can go ahead, ink draw, do all that. He can't. And it's not a song, which is a shame. So, yeah, he's in kind of, I don't want to say a lose-lose, but certainly a not comfy spot. But
And
we'll go
here is
ahead.
the shark. I mean, that's a fantastic card to play here. If Jordan doesn't have an answer for it, it will allow him to pull things back from the discard pile. But it's one of the few cards in this deck, other than the Brawl and a board wipe, that will check those Diablos, it having evasive. So,
Oh,
and unfortunately the Bruno comes down. That's brutal. You're going to lose the
yeah.
shark, or you're going to lose the be prepared. I mean, at this point,
Both of them, you're going to go,
you hope you lose the shark, I think.
I think, but
That's
man.
that's kind of the end. And it is the shark. Okay, so the shark going down to the discard pile here. Jordan now questing with everything, feeling a little more comfortable without that shark to crack back into the Diablos.
But is he going to
Um,
play that chip? Or
we'll,
does he
we'll
have enough
see.
ink?
He
No,
doesn't have enough to get rid
okay,
of that last
good.
card. Okay, so is it an inkable? I think it's the manner. So it is enough. I mean, at this point, I think
Yeah.
you
You
quest,
just
you
have to
get that
believe in
lore out of it,
yourself.
you slam the manner into the inkwell, and you slam the be prepared on the board. I mean, it's something. You will be top decking from this point, but at the very least, you buy yourself some time, and crucially, you get those Diablos off the board. Jordan, though, of course, as you pointed out, will draw a card off that Diablo. Diablo replacing itself, the baby Diablo obedient
Yes.
Raven. And now Jordan with a full grip of cards. I think that's a full hand to rebuild. And while Browncoat, who is top decking, so still a route back in. If Browncoat, who can top deck perhaps a crab or a shark or something big to play. But for sure, you've bought yourself some time. That feels pretty good. But Jordan now is going to start to do some work.
Yeah, it's so frustrating when you do something where you're like, listen, I have to do this if I want to keep playing. However, it's not going to be fun from this point on. So he's basically saying, I hope the top card. And Jordan's just going to do kind of what he wants, go wide, not too wide, because he could top deck another be prepared. He said, it's Maui.
Oh, it's a Maui. I mean, it's not terrible, but
It's
it
fine.
will check
Yeah.
that Cricky next turn if there's no answer. Cricky, a 3 lore quester, one of the finishers in this deck. So Jordan now drawing, then ready and setting. Moving quickly. So looking at his options here, plenty of options available. You'd love to get that Maui off the board if you can to keep that Cricky
Which I
protected.
think I see. We
suppose.
don't talk about Bruno in there.
Oh.
But there's another thing. I mean, he's only at 6 lore. Do you want to use it? He does.
There
I
it
do want to
is.
use it now
Yep, bring it down.
because he doesn't have to. He could, but yeah, he goes ahead and use it, and he puts a cove. Just to protect his assets. It could be a Sisu. I have not seen any sign of any Sisus anywhere. And now he
And
says
top deck another Maui.
he said it's Maui time. I told you that, and so
Maui chee-hooing into action here.
yeah.
Coming off the top deck into that Cricky, Jordan getting rid of one says, wow, these Maui's travel in packs, I guess.
Yeah.
That'll answer the Cove next turn, too, or anything else he drops on the board. Not a bad top deck at all.
More
and
card drop.
Not a bad card to play here, though, because one thing that Maui cannot answer is evasive characters. Jordan looking for things to close out the game, and getting that evasive 2-lore quester on the board is pretty good.
Yeah, so Jordan's gonna have to fight for every inch here because there's something you don't do something against the Sicilian and the Princess Bride, and this one is you never have a top deck battle against Ruby. But Jordan has quite the head start. We're gonna go ahead and draw 2 cards. It does. You have a choice with pull the lever, where you either get to draw 2 cards or discard. In this case, discard party's over. He already did that. There's nothing left. So he's gonna draw 2 cards, more options, go wider, and just keep making Brown Coat Who come with answer after answer after answer.
Yeah, pulling the lever there for a couple extra cards. Diablo now will quest for 1, going up to 11 here. Not questing with the genie was played that turn. Yes,
It
that
was a
turn took a while. That
yeah.
turn took a while. Okay, I was like that not questing with the genie, but that turn took forever. That's
All
why
right, develop your brain.
developing the brain a little bit here. Looking at the top couple cards, trying to find something to perhaps enter that genie, or at the
Ah,
very least, so there's
Pirate's
a
Life.
pirate's life there. That's something. You'll want to get that into the discard pile. Use it, get it into the discard pile if you can. So Maui Shark, if it comes out, can start looping that.
Yeah, and that Maui, I think he is he right sides for that cove if he decided to go that
I
direction.
believe so. I believe that's a 6 on the cove.
But exerting the Diablo is kind of smart too because it makes it be like, hey, are you afraid of a fourth Diablo? But either way, he got that lore, so he is deciding: is it now? Is it later? Do I have another shark coming? He just has to believe in whatever the future is on the top of his deck, and he simply does not know. But if he doesn't play it, it would probably get discarded. So it's kind of like if you got it, you got to play it, right? I feel there's no other time. Otherwise, this chip is well, he's gonna ink it. That's another
Oh,
option. You
yeah,
can
you can
protect
ink
your
it.
card 2 ways.
Pirate's Life into the inkwell. Part of the consideration here, if you can't play it, or you're not going to play it, then any 1-card hand is really, really
Yes.
juicy when your opponent has a bajillion cards to make you discard.
Yes.
Anytime you can force your opponent to discard that 1 card they're holding onto, it feels good. So sending that ink away, or sending that card away, and back over to Jordan now. Peter Pan Shadow Finder coming down, followed by a
Oh,
Merlin Crab that will give Challenger to that Peter Pan Shadow Finder, making it 5 strength on the challenge into the Maui. And so that Maui off the board now, sending the genie to hang out in the Hidden Cove, it looks like, and on a quest to go to 13.
yeah. And the Hidden Cove's such an interesting card because it's not. I feel bad. It's not that great of a card on itself. It is a card that it doesn't gain lore. It truly exists just because they're afraid of dragons. But so speaking of value cards, Big Duck Manor's one where I mean it gets going to get value, and then really its only value is just to gain lore. So it's a tale of 2. I think one they're both commons perhaps, and one is they both see a ton of play, but one generates value no matter what. The other one is Genie's just hanging out.
Yeah, and not a great top deck there. It doesn't allow him to really influence the board much.
No.
So it'll go out there, it'll start gaining lore, but Jordan doesn't have to answer it for many turns. It looks like Crab and Chip will head to that Hidden Cove. They're all hanging out together, having a party, as it were. And back over to Jordan to see if there's an answer. You really need a board wipe. You're in the board wipe position again.
Now
Or
he's like,
Pirate's Life, that's
yeah.
not terrible. Yo-ho, yo-ho. More breathing space for me as I pull you back away from game on board and gain a little bit of lore in the process. So not the worst card in the world to top deck, because it does force Jordan to take another turn here to close things out.
Yeah, but it's looking. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like I can't stop the clock, but I can rewind it a tiny bit. But is it enough? Jordan looking at 3 cards in hand, so he says, "Well, I'll just quest." I mean, yeah, that's
Yep.
all he has to do. Is he's at the point where he says, "You respond to me. I'm just gonna ignore pretty much everything you're doing over there and just keep moving forward and see what you do."
And keeping board wipe insurance, the more cards in your hand, the more you have to respond to if Brown Coat Who does find the answer. It would be interesting to drop another character on board here, just in case there's another Maui top deck, which can close out the Crab.
Oh, that was a
Or
red card.
something, but
Uh,
if it's a
that
it's a Pirate's Life, and just not quite enough. That would knock him back to 16, but still game on board there. And unfortunately for Brown Coat Who, I just think this is a tough matchup for him. I think Jordan, having piloted this all yesterday, gotten a lot of reps in, and just never quite stringing together the cards that he needed. Had to be prepared in the opening hand this game, inkable challenges, and just never quite getting the game plan together.
yeah, absolutely. And we'll head back to the booth here and break it down.